What's going on, you guys? Mark here, back at you with another video. And for today's video, I want to finally tell you guys how I managed to carry this bad boy during the Vancouver 2010 Olympic Winter Games torch relay. This month actually marks the official 10-year anniversary since I carried that thing, which is hard to believe. Like, it doesn't even feel like it's been that long. A couple of you who have been subscribed to my channel have requested that I do a video talking about how I managed to carry it, and I've not been ignoring you guys, I promise. It's just, I've selfishly been wanting to wait till it's been like officially 10 years since I carried it, and we're finally here. Sorry to keep you guys waiting, but like, hey, we're finally here. It's been 10 years, so without further ado, let me tell you guys the full and complete story about how I carry the Olympic torch. And just a little warning, this video is probably going to be very, very long because there's a lot of details and I'm going to be going back and forth a lot, so grab a drink, grab a snack, just get comfy because we're gonna have a big, long story time. So just to start the story off, all my life I've been obsessed with the Olympics. Like, ask anyone who knows me. Like, I have always been obsessed with the Olympics ever since I was little. Like, anytime they were on, I was glued to the TV watching them. I collected memorabilia, like, from various Olympic games. Like, I was a full-on obsessed Olympics freak, like, all the way. So needless to say, being Canadian when the Vancouver Olympic Winter Games happened, like, that was a big moment for me. Like, I was 15 years old, I was so freaking excited just to watch the Olympics. Like, the fact that they were gonna be in Canada, like, that was crazy, and I was so freaking excited just for that. But obviously, if there was the opportunity to carry the Olympic torch, like, that would just be freaking amazing. Like, the Olympics were already crazy enough, but like the fact that the torch relay was gonna be happening, like, it was gonna be coming through my hometown, which was crazy. But like, there were contests to enter to become a torchbearer, and I was like, that would be insane. Like, I would die to do that. So during the lead up to the Olympic Games, there were two contests that came out for Canadians to enter to get the opportunity to carry the Olympic torch. And they were both run by Coca-Cola, and the other was run by RBC, which, for those of you non-Canadians, stands for the Royal Bank of Canada. It's one of many bank chains in Canada. So I obviously entered both of them. The Coke contest was a lot more heavy duty. Like, theirs was a huge marketing gimmick, like, where they made a crap load of money. I was about to say something else, but they made a crap load of money off it. Like, you had to basically buy a specially marked Coke bottle that had a special code on the inside of the cap, and you could enter this code online to be entered for a chance to be picked to become a torchbearer. So I, of course, fell for this gimmick hook, line, and sinker. I got a bottle of Coke every single day this contest was on. Like, non-exaggeration, like, every single day. And this contest mainly ran during the summer of 2009, which was summer break for me during school. So I walked every single day 15 minutes to the mall near my house, because that's the nearest place where there was a store that sold the specially marked bottles. I would walk 15 minutes there to buy one and 15 minutes back, like, every single day during the summer, just to enter these codes to try and win a spot to carry the Olympic torch. And unfortunately, I never got picked to carry the Olympic torch with this contest. I spent probably a good, like, $150 at least, like, on Coke bottles just to, like, have a chance to carry the torch, and it didn't work out, but Coke took my money, so that was alright. And the RBC contest was a lot more simple and straightforward. It was like, hey, just enter your name, address, telephone number, and you'll be entered to win. So I entered that, didn't get picked, boo-hoo, sad. But I wasn't too upset about it. I was like, you know what, I can at least, like, sleep at night knowing I did everything I could to try and carry it. Like, I entered both official contests, like, entered every single day I possibly could for the Coke contest. Like, I walked 15 minutes to the mall and back every single day to try and get a chance to carry it. Like, I can't say that I didn't try, right? So I at least was happy about that, even though I didn't get picked. But you guys are probably thinking, if you didn't get picked in the Coke contest or the RBC contest, then how did you get to carry that? Like, why is that in your room right now? Like, how did this happen? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I'm about to tell you exactly how that happened, and this story gets a lot more spicy. So my dad works for, I mean, I don't want to give too many details away, but my dad works for a small company as a corporate lawyer, and this company deals with a lot of other big companies. And during the time of this lead up to the Olympics, his company was in some pretty big business negotiations with RBC. I don't exactly know what was happening. It's a whole bunch of business mumbo jumbo, but my dad was like a key player in this business transaction. Like, he was like putting in mad work at the office. Like, he was clocking in early in the morning, clocking out late at night. Like, my dad was burning the freaking midnight oil to get whatever this business partnership was, like, moving. Like, he was a key player and he worked his freaking butt off. So this was taking place around the summer of 2009, and it wrapped up around that time. And once it was wrapped up, like, all the work had been done of whatever this business transaction was, the guy from RBC that my dad was dealing with, he was in constant contact with for this transaction, this guy was so thankful for my dad for like all the work he put in, and he was like, oh my gosh, like, we want to make it up to you, like, you've put in so much work, like, we want to do something to thank you, like, can we offer you, I'm kind of paraphrasing, I don't exactly know what they offered him, but they said, I'm pretty sure they offered him like a trip for my dad and my mom, like to go away together, like they'd pay for a vacation for them. And this is allegedly what my dad says. I say allegedly because I still don't know if I fully believe it. I think my dad might have just been saying this to just get a rise out of me, but allegedly this person who offered my dad like a vacation with my mom, also told my dad that, hey, like if you wanted to, I don't know, carry the Olympic torch, as a thank you, like I could make that happen for you. So at this point you're probably thinking, so this is how he carried the torch. Like even though Mark's dad didn't want to carry it, like maybe he told this guy that his son wanted to carry it, his Olympics obsessed son. Like maybe that's how it happened, right? That's what you're thinking, right? That would make complete logical sense, but that's not what happened. Let me tell you the rest of the story. So my dad declined the offer to carry the Olympic torch, this alleged offer. Again, I still don't know if it's legit. It seems kind of weird to me, but my dad says that's what was offered. And for some reason, my dad decided to come tell me, this exact story, that he was offered a spot to carry the Olympic torch, and he said no. So in reply to that, I said, well, like, did you talk about me? Like, did you tell this guy that, like, I wanted to carry it? Like, your Olympics obsessed son, who you know is obsessed with the Olympics, has been for a very long time. Your son who just spent his entire summer walking to the mall and back every single day to buy Coca-Cola bottles to enter this stupid contest to carry the Olympic torch. Like, did you maybe think to tell him about me? Like, did you think to tell him about me? Because, like, I would really like to carry the torch, and, like, even though you don't want to, like, I would. Did you think to tell him? And I kid you not, this was my dad's reaction. Oh, no, I didn't think about that, actually, but damn, I should have. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'm still so fired up about it years later, even though I'm gonna tell you the rest of the story because I have it sitting right here. Obviously, it all worked out, but years later, I'm still irked about this. Like, how could you not think about your son who is obsessed with the freaking Olympics, who would do anything to carry the Olympic torch, who went to the mall every single day to enter these contests to carry it, who you knew was openly trying to win a spot to carry the torch? How could you sit there in that moment and go, no, I don't want to carry it, and not think to say, but my son would? Like, how did you, what? So, needless to say, I was livid. Like, if you can tell by my reaction now, 10 years later, imagine my reaction 10 years ago when he told me in the moment. I was beyond angry. I love my dad. I love him. He's amazing. I will always love him, but this was not a good moment for him in my eyes. I was so upset at him. Like, I full on cried, I'm pretty sure, at least one night, because, like, I was fine having entered the contest and being told no, like having not won a spot to carry it, but the fact that I could have easily gotten a spot as a thank you from this guy to my dad. Like, he could have organized, like, gotten some spot for me, got me the hookups to carry the Olympic torch. Like, the fact that this could have happened but it didn't because of my dad's ineptitude, like, that really, really upset me. So at this point I had a fire under me because I was like, okay, well, maybe it's not too late. Like, maybe like the offer could still be open. So I harassed my dad, my poor dad. He had just gone out of the stress of this business negotiations, and now there was me harassing him every single day for the next probably 2 weeks. Like, legit, every single day I sent him an email being like, did you contact the person that, like, asked, like, who offered you the Olympic torch spot? Like, did you contact him? Like, please write to him and, like, ask him if I can carry it. Like, I begged my dad in email form to contact this guy. My dad ignored all my emails, obviously, because I was annoying. But, like, I was just so desperate. I was like, there's gotta be a way. Like, that offer's still gotta be open. This just happened. Like, I'm sure it's not too late. And I got so obsessed with this that I actually went as far as to Google the name of the person my dad did this transaction with, find his, like, contact business email on the RBC website, and I personally contacted him asking if I could carry it, and I never got a response from him either. He's probably like, who is this crazy, like, person that's contacting me? Like, I never got a response from him either, but, like, I at least knew I tried, right? Like, I was like, okay, well, I contacted my dad, he's probably ignoring me. I contacted this guy, I at least did what I could, and I tried to put my mind at ease, but I still was so bothered, and I had such a fire under me to try and make this happen, because I was thinking, I was like, I cannot live the rest of my life knowing that I could have carried the Olympic torch and I didn't because of an in the moment mind freeze. What's the expression where something like escapes your mind and you don't think of it till after? That. Like, I couldn't live with the fact that I could have carried it and I'm not because of my dad's forgetfulness in the moment, right? So, as one final last-ditch effort to try and carry the Olympic torch, I went on the RBC website just to the contact us button. You know how most websites have a contact us button? I went to there and I just laid my freaking mind out there in this little text bubble that I could send as an email to RBC. It probably reeked of desperation. I'm sure it was so cringy looking back, but I wrote this huge, long email to RBC, basically begging them to let me carry it. I was like, I don't know exactly what I wrote. Again, I'm sure it was so cringy because my writing back then wasn't as good as it is now because I was 15, almost 16. But I basically laid it all out there. I begged them as hard as I could to let me carry it. I was like, please, I would do anything. I would travel anywhere in Canada. Keep in mind at this point that the Olympic torch was on the other side of the country from me. I'm in Ontario, near Toronto. The torch was probably in Alberta at this point, which is 3 or 4 hour plane ride away. It was on the way to Vancouver. But I didn't care. I was like, if they give me a spot, I'll make it happen somehow. So I was like, please, anywhere in Canada it's gonna be, I will travel there. I will do anything. Please, please, please just give me the opportunity to carry it. And I sent the email. And again, at this point, I had a little bit of peace of mind. I was like, okay, I've done everything I could. I've contacted my dad. I've contacted the person who offered my dad the spot to carry the torch. And now I've contacted RBC. So whatever's meant to be will be. I've put it out into the universe. I've done everything I could. It is what it is. So now fast forward a couple of weeks and I actually, funnily enough, I actually got chosen to carry the Paralympic torch. I entered the Paralympic torch relay and I feel kind of bad saying this, but the only reason I really entered was to at least get some sort of consolation for not being able to carry the Olympic torch. If I got to carry the Paralympic torch, the experience would be pretty similar. And that's not to say the Paralympics are bad or anything. The Paralympics are an incredible organization. But you know what I mean, the fact that I came so close to carrying the Olympic torch. The Olympics are such an iconic sporting event. And the fact that I didn't, I still want to have some sort of experience or opportunity to experience carrying the torch. So I entered the Paralympic torch relay and I did get picked to carry it over in Whistler, which is on the other side of the country from me. It's north of Vancouver. But my mom was willing to make the trip happen for me. She was like, oh my god, if you want to do this, we'll fly out to Whistler, we'll do it. So obviously I was like, yeah, sure, okay, let's do it. So since I was a minor at the time, my mom had to fill out all the personal information for me in regards to carrying it. So there was all this paperwork she had to do. So she had to drive over to my dad's work to fax all this stuff, the scan, and send all this stuff to the Paralympic people for me to carry it. So here's where the story gets crazy. While my mom was gone at my dad's work to fax all this information to get me to carry the Paralympic torch, I got a phone call. I was sitting on the couch and the phone ID said RBC on it. And when I read RBC, my heart dropped out of my butt. I was on the floor. I was like, oh my god. And it could have just been a random call to talk about banking or whatnot. RBC is a major bank in Canada, but I just knew that this had to do with the Olympic torch. I just had some feeling about it. So I picked up the phone and I was like, hello? Well, my voice at the time was going through puberty, so it's probably hello? But on the other end of the phone was this guy, and I won't reveal his name just in case he still works there, but I'm gonna call him Steven, or Steve. So this guy on the phone says, hi, is this Mark? Yeah, hi, this is Steve from RBC, and I just wanted to contact you. Again, I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the phone call exactly, but he said, I'm just calling about your email you sent us about wanting to carry the Olympic torch, and I can tell this is something you really want to do, right? And I was like, uh-huh, yeah. And he was like, well, I'm not supposed to be doing this. He's like, but we did get a cancellation in Vancouver a day before the Olympics. Someone canceled their torch relay spot. He told me, he's like, normally we just pick a new person at random, but he's like, if you're able to make it out there, if you talk to your parents and you're able to make it out there, I'd be willing to sneak your name in and make the spot become yours. And when he told me this, I couldn't even scream. I couldn't even freak out. I was is this really freaking happening? Is this happening? I was just like, oh, yeah, that'd be awesome. And I'm sure my response sounded so underwhelming, but I was honestly just so shocked. So he told me, he's like, okay, great. He's like, well, he gave me his number and he's like, talk to your parents and have them call me back so we can talk. So I was like, okay. So I hung up the phone And I remember I just sat on the couch and just stared at the ceiling, just being like, is this really happening? Like, is this really happening? Like right now, as my mom is gone, to sign me up to carry the Paralympic torch, I just got a call that I could carry the Olympic torch. Like after months of feeling angry and upset and sad over like this thing that didn't happen with my dad and being offered to carry the torch and not thinking of me, like, is the universe really making this happen? Like, is this happening? So I had this whole like moment of reflection, being like, holy crap, this is insane. So then my mom came home, she's like, oh, I faxed everything, everything's good, you're all set. And then I told her, I'm like, I just got a call while you were gone from RBC. Like, they want me to carry it. Like, they want me to carry the Olympic torch. They have a spot in Vancouver. Like, I told her everything all at once, and she was like, oh my god, wait, slow down. So I told her again, and she's like, are you kidding me? Like, this is happening? So I told her that this guy, Steve, called me, and I gave her his contact information, and I said, well, he wants you to call him back. So she called him back right away, because like he had just gone off the phone with me like 10 minutes before. So my mom called him and they talked for a while, and yeah, I actually don't even remember what happened after that. I'm guessing that they got everything sorted out and they got in contact via email as well. But yeah, my mom was like, holy crap, like this could actually happen. And again, I actually don't remember this part of the story, what happened after this between my mom talking to Steve and getting the opportunity to carry the Olympic torch, but somehow everything worked out. Like, sure enough, like I was registered, like I got the spot in Vancouver. He snuck my name in just like he said, and it happened. But here's where the uncertainty comes in, because this is like November and the Olympics are in February, so we don't have that much time to prepare. And like, this is the Olympics. Like, this isn't like a little event. Like, this is the Olympic Games. And I get the spot to carry in Vancouver, that's great. But like, all the hotels are probably booked up. Like, the Olympics are in Vancouver. Obviously, there's airfare, like, to go across the country. That's not cheap. Like, this is gonna cost a lot of money for all 5 of us to fly out to do this. And like, obviously, I really, really, really want to do it. So my parents were, this is why my parents are amazing. Like, they made it happen. They paid everything. Like, they bought the plane tickets, they bought the hotel in Vancouver. They somehow found a place in Vancouver. Can you believe it? Like, one day before the Olympics. They somehow found a place and they organized everything. They knew how badly I wanted to do this and they were willing to make my dream come true. So they organized everything and I'm always gonna be so grateful for that. But then here's the funny thing is, now I'm signed up. Like, I know that I'm carrying the torch and this is just our family that knows. But I'm such a low-key, shy person that I didn't want this to become big news. I was like, don't tell too many people, like I don't want this to become a huge thing. So I didn't tell anyone at school that I was carrying the torch. I didn't tell any teachers, any students, I didn't tell anyone, and that was on purpose. Like, I knew if people knew that I would become super popular, I'd become super popular. But really, like, I didn't want that. Like, I didn't want to become like the it person, right? So I kept it a complete secret. Obviously our family knew, like my mom told like my grandparents and like her and like my aunts and uncles and everyone, they all knew. But I was like, please don't tell like anyone else, like just family needs to know. Family and close friends. So fast forward a few months, it's now time to leave for Vancouver. It's time to go. And I had to miss school to go do this, obviously, like this was during the week. So I had to miss a few days of school to fly out to Vancouver, carry this thing and fly home. So I told my mom specifically, I was like, when you call to tell my school why I'm not gonna be there, because again, I'm a minor, I'm in school, like my parents have to call to let them know of any absence. So I specifically told my mom, I said, when you call to tell the school why I'm not gonna be there, do not tell them why, like the actual reason. Do not tell them I'm gonna be in Vancouver carrying the Olympic torch. Do not tell them that. Like, I specifically told her, I'm like, if you tell them, it's gonna become a big thing, they'll make an announcement. Like, I don't want that. Like, I just want this to be an in and out for our family. So she was like, okay, yeah, I'll tell them something else. I'll tell them like we're going to visit family or something. Like, I won't tell them. So I was like, okay, great. Well, it was the day to go. It was the day to leave to the airport. I was in school. Our flight wasn't until the night, so I was able to like go to school that day. So I got to the end of school, and right after the bell rang for the very last class, like once we were dismissed from school, I hear the announcements come on. The PA system for the announcements comes on, and I just had this sinking feeling. I'm like, the second I heard that, like the noise of the announcement system coming on, I was like, this is about me. My mom lied. I just knew before I even heard anything, and sure enough, I just hear, hello Central High School, this is an announcement to say that Mark Marshall is going to Vancouver to carry the Olympic torch, and we are so proud of him, so wish Mark luck. Something like that. And I wanted to freaking die. But when the announcement played, I was in the hallway, and when I heard them say my name, I immediately ran into the nearest bathroom and hid inside one of the stalls. True story, I actually hid inside one of the stalls until everyone was like out of the school. I think I stayed in there for probably like 15 minutes just being like, oh my god, mom, you freaking lied to me. I hate you so much right now. Like, I told you not to tell anyone. And what did you do? You told them exactly what I didn't want you to tell them, and now the whole school knows. So my mom was actually waiting to pick me up at this point because she was picking me up to drive home to meet with everyone, then drive to the airport. So when I got in the car, I was so mad at her. I said, why did you tell them? I told you not to tell them. And she gave me the whole, oh, well, you really think I wasn't gonna tell them? Like, this is such a big deal. Like, you're carrying the Olympic torch. Like, this is a big deal. I had to tell them. And I was like, yeah, but you lied to me. Like, I told you not to tell them, and you told them. Like, why? I was so mad, but my mom was turning it around. She's like, no, like, you can't be mad. Like, this is a big deal. I was still very mad at her. I didn't want anyone at school to know. I wanted to keep this a secret, and she blew my cover. But I guess in retrospect, I still wish I hadn't told anyone because it became a big thing and I really didn't want it to, but like, I can see why I should want to tell them. It is such a big deal, but like, respect what I wanted. Like, I didn't want people to know. Why did you not respect that? But anyways, we met up with my family and flew out to Vancouver, checked in, everything went well. And actually in the mail about a week before we left, I got a little care package from like the Olympic people. It was like a little box with my uniform in it. All the information about the torch, like the location I had to meet at. So the actual day of carrying the torch is such a blur to me. I still remember a lot of details, but it was just so cool being in Vancouver at that time. Like, there was such a feeling of celebration in the air, and like, it felt like such a festival was going on, right? Like, it just felt magical, if that makes sense. But yeah, the day of, I really wasn't that nervous. Like, I woke up and I was just ready to do it, right? Like, I was so grateful. Like, that's the thing I remember the most, is I was just so freaking grateful for Steve, like, making this happen for me. Like, he could have just ignored my email and just been like, whatever. But like, he actually took the time to contact me and like slip my name in when I'm sure he wasn't supposed to. But I was so grateful that he did. Like, he was making my dream come true. I was grateful for my parents for making this happen. Like, I was just feeling very happy. And anyways, we had to go and meet at this community center in Vancouver. I mean, there's various spots throughout the city where they bring all the various torchbearers to just like debrief them about the day, what's gonna happen. So we had to go to a community center in North Vancouver, I'm pretty sure. I forget exactly where in the city it was, but like, it was a community center in like this kind of suburban-ish area of Vancouver. And I went there and there was about 20 other torchbearers because they split us up into groups of 20, and like, we all get onto a bus that drives around and drops us off at each of the various points. So at this meeting, they debriefed us on everything. They told us about like like the type of gas the torch uses, like who's gonna come turn it on, like how we're gonna be positioned around the city. Like, they told us everything. It was just a little bit of a instructional kind of meeting to tell us what to do. So this only lasted about 20 minutes. Then we all packed onto the bus, and only the torchbearers could go onto the bus. All the family and friends, they had to get to the spot you're carrying it at separately, but it was only us on the bus. And I felt so special at that point. I was like, I'm such a VIP, like, I get to go onto this bus, my family can't come on, like, it's only me. Like, I felt so special. So I went onto this bus, and actually in my torchbearer group, there were a couple of Canadian celebrities on my bus. And I say Canadian celebrities because like, they're really only known here, but like, Jan Arden was on my bus, as well as Trevor Linden. Jan Arden's a Canadian singer. She's not really well known at all outside of Canada, but she was really nice. And Trevor Linden was an NHL player. I'm not really into sports, so I didn't really know, but there were actually like people chasing our bus, like hockey fans, chasing our bus, being like, oh my god, Trevor! Like, they were fangirling over Trevor Linden. And I was just like, whoa, like, he must be a big deal. Like, I literally had no idea who this guy was, but I was like, this guy must be a big deal. So during this bus ride, there was like a little video that played on the bus that again gave us last minute instructions on how this is all gonna go. And then before I knew it, I was being dropped off at the spot I needed to carry the torch. And also, I still have it, but this is my uniform I had to wear. These are the pants. The pants are whatever. You can see it says Vancouver 2010 on them. This was my uniform. I loved the uniform. Like, this color scheme is really cool. I really liked it. I was number 182 for the day, so I was the 182nd person to carry the torch. See, it says a torch relay. I had the Olympic rings on the back. I don't think this would fit me now, but you can still see like my sweat stains from like carrying it. Ew. But yeah, I was dropped off at the spot I needed to carry it, and my family was there, and I was so excited. Like, I saw my parents there, and this whole part was such a blur to me. From getting off the bus to finishing carrying the torch, I hardly remember anything. It was such a freaking blur. It went by so fast. But I just remember like the little Coca-Cola truck drove by with the celebration people and I didn't know how to react to that. I was so awkward. I'm still very awkward. I was no different back then. I was just kind of standing like, this is cool. And then before I knew it, I was handed my torch. Like they came by with my torch and they're like, here you go. Like the first time holding it, they were like, here you go, this is your torch. Like the people are gonna be coming behind very soon to light it. Like you're gonna know when it's time, like just be ready. Like, and then they went off to the next spot. So I was just waiting there at this point for my chance to carry the torch. I was just standing there with my torch, just waiting. And then I could hear like the screams getting louder and louder, like the cheering getting louder and louder and getting closer and closer. And I just knew, like that feeling was so crazy. I just knew the torch was getting closer. I was like, oh my god, it's coming, it's coming. And sure enough, I saw it coming closer to me. Like I saw the little flame. Because Vancouver's very hilly. Like where I was carrying it had a lot of hills. So I didn't see the actual torch and flame until the person who was passing it off to me was coming like right over the hill to come to me. So it was time. Suddenly a person appeared next to me who worked for the torch relay, and he had this special little key. Because the torches run on natural gas, I believe. So they only turn it on right when it's time for you to carry it. So he came by, turned on my torch, and was like, have fun. And then he ran off to the next spot. And I could smell the gas coming out of the torch. I was like, oh my god, it's happening, it's happening, it's happening. And my mom's like screaming at me to like pose for pictures. But yeah, the person came up to me with the flame and I just put my torch up to him. My torch, the flame lit up. And before I knew it, I just started running. I didn't even instinctively be like, oh my god, I lit the flame, now it's time to run. Like I was just like, ah! Like I was just like, I gotta run. Like I just instinctively knew it was time for me to run. Like this is the torch freaking relay. So I just took off. Like I'm not even exaggerating. Like I sprinted. I just started bolting and like my brother was filming the whole thing, and I'll insert clips of that obviously as I'm talking about it, but he was like, oh my god, Mark's just like sprinting, like I gotta start running. So my brother started running after me and everyone else who was watching was trying to keep up. Like I was literally like Usain Bolt. Like I was just running down this road. And I carried this torch for about 350 meters. I don't know what that works out to in feet, but that's like, if you're running, that's about, I guess about 2 minutes worth of running. Maybe a little less, maybe like a minute and a half of running. So I was running with this thing and I only remember during my entire run with the torch, two things. I remember looking up at the torch and vividly seeing the flame burning, not really taking it in. Like I was just not processing everything at this point. I was like, oh my god, it's the Olympic torch. So I remember just looking up and seeing it, and I also remember running, and while you're running with the torch, there's basically 4 bodyguards surrounding you, like just to protect against any crazy people that might like, who are against the Olympics and stuff, who might want to like sabotage the flame or like throw water on you or push you over. That happened a couple of times during the Olympic torch relay in Canada, which was crazy. Didn't happen to me thankfully, but like still, they had guards with you to try and stop anyone from interfering, right? And I remember one of the guards looked at me and said, slow down. Because I was running so freaking fast, and these poor guys do not get a break. Like they are running the whole day. Like they're jogging the whole day with the torch bearers as bodyguards. Like they can't be sprinting because they have to conserve their energy, and here I was like freaking running. So I remember one of the bodyguards was like, slow down please. So I did, I slowed down, and I'm glad I did because I was able to enjoy the moment a little bit more. And before I knew it, it was time for me to pass it off to the next person. And the person I passed it off to wanted to do some weird handshake. I still don't remember what it was, but he made me like learn it. And that was okay, that was cool. I was able to do it. It must have meant something to him. But yeah, once I passed off the torch to him, a different person came up to me with the little key to turn off the gas on my torch, and it had all this black on it now because the flame had burnt it. And I was just pushed right back onto the bus. My mom tried to get one photo of me like posing with the bus, but they were like, no, you gotta get on, like we gotta go. So I jumped back on the bus, and yeah, at that point, that's when everything started to sink in. I was like, I just carried the freaking Olympic torch. Like I was looking at it, like the burnt, like I was looking at this burnt part here, and I was like, I just carried the freaking Olympic torch, like what? So this part was really cool because it was fun to follow the torch at this point and just see everyone celebrating out the windows, and it was a really, really cool thing to witness and experience and see. Just the celebration, how excited everyone was. I get goosebumps thinking about it, like it was crazy. And actually I wanted to say about Jan Arden, the Canadian singer that was on my bus, her portion of the torch relay ended at a children's hospital. And she could have just gotten right back on the bus and continued with us, but she really wanted to go inside the children's hospital and visit with the sick children in the children's hospital. And she wasn't supposed to, like they really didn't want her to. They were like, no, like we have to keep going, like we have protocol to follow, but she was adamant that she not get back on the bus. She was like, no. She's like, I want to go in and visit, like I'm here, like I have this Olympic torch, like I want to show them. Like she wanted to show them the torch and like meet all the kids, and finally they relented. They were like, okay, fine, like just go. But I thought that was really sweet of her, that like she wanted to just go visit the kids and show them her Olympic torch that she just carried and talk about the experience. It's like, that was crazy. And also my parents were big Jan Arden fans, so it was kind of cool that because of me, like they got to meet her. Like at the community center they actually talked to her for a little while, and I was like, whoa, like I'm the reason my parents are meeting Jan Arden, like that's crazy, because they had gone to a couple of her concerts in years prior. So I was kind of like, cool, like my parents are meeting Jan Arden. Again, you guys probably have no idea who she is, but like for my parents' generation, like who are Canadian, like they knew who she was. So my mom was kind of fangirling a little bit, which was kind of cute. But here's the part that's kind of weird, is after everything was said and done, like after each torch bearer was done their relay and they got back on the bus, like all 20 of us were back on the bus, that was it. Like the torch was moving on to the next group of people, which had a separate bus. So this bus just drove us back to the community center, and it didn't even drop us off at the community center. It dropped us off like 3 blocks away, like at this random intersection, and we had to literally walk like 10 minutes to get to the community center, which was kind of weird. Like you think it could drop us off right at the community center, but I guess maybe they were running short on time and had to like go to the next group or something. But anyways, I walked back with my torch, and we were all like walking back like, guys, we just carried the Olympic torch, like this is crazy. And I don't know how my family got there and back so fast, but they were already there waiting for me. They were like, oh my god, like this is crazy, you carried it, like this is insane. So anyways, that was it. Like we just made our way back to the hotel. We got a few photo ops with me in my uniform with the torch and all that, but like that was it. It was time to go back to the hotel, and unfortunately we weren't able to stay in Vancouver more than a day. We flew in the day before, stayed there for the whole day, I carried the torch, and then we were out the next day. So I was actually hoping that I could sneak in a couple of like we could stay a little longer and we could go see a few Olympic events, but unfortunately that wasn't possible because the tickets were so expensive, and also like just logistics, like this was such a last minute thing. And I wasn't about to complain. Like I was so grateful. I was about to, like I even got to carry the Olympic torch, so there was no way I was even about to complain about not seeing any Olympic events, but I would have liked to, but unfortunately it wasn't possible. So we flew out the day of the opening ceremonies on February 12th. I think I carried it on February 11th. We flew out on the 12th. Yeah, and we flew back home, and that was crazy. It was now time to just go back to regular life. Like I felt like a celebrity over this weekend, by the way. Like that day that I carried the torch on the 11th, I felt like a total celebrity because I was wearing my Olympic uniform and I was carrying my torch around, and people recognized like the uniform and the torch, obviously, right? And I got stopped so many times for pictures. And there was actually this really cool moment where we were going into the subway, or the SkyTrain, I'm pretty sure it's called. It's like the Vancouver subway / train system. And there was this girl there who also had carried it that day, and she was in her uniform with her torch getting pictures, and there was a line of people wanting to get pictures. And we walked right in, and she looked at me like with my uniform and was like, oh my gosh, get your torch out, like join in, buddy. So I was like, okay, fine. So I took my torch out, and the line came over to me as well. Like it split so people could get pictures with me and her with her uniform and the torch. And actually near the end of the day, I got stopped so many times for pictures that near the end of the day, I had my no pictures please, no pictures please moment. Like there were a couple of people that came up and were like, can I get a picture with you? And I was like, no, I'm so tired. And I feel bad that I said no. But I understood in that moment, like why celebrities have those moments where they're like, I'm not doing any pictures anymore. Cause like, I was exhausted at that point. Like I was getting stopped every few seconds to get a photo op, and I was just drained near the end of the day. Like I just wanted to go crash. Like I was exhausted, and I had to say no to a couple of people, and I felt really bad about it. But it was just such a crazy whirlwind experience, because I went from that to just flying back home and back into regular life like the next day. It was crazy. So unfortunately, I did go back to school, and I was the big thing for that week. Like people kept stalking me in the hallways being like, oh my god, you carried the torch? Like how was that? And my teachers all wanted me to talk to the class, like to various classes about how it went. Like I was put on the spot a few times, and like I do have a bit of anxiety like by nature, and it definitely was magnified during this period. Like there were a couple times I went up to do a presentation for a school project, and at the end the teacher would be like, Mark, can you stay up there? We have a few questions to ask you about carrying the Olympic torch. And I was like, okay. Like I was just, this isn't what I wanted. Like this is why I didn't want my mom to tell my school, but she did. So I answered everyone's questions and stuff, and it was cool. And also we went to go meet my family, like, you know, my grandparents, and when we went down to go visit them, they had a big congratulations banner on the house. And this was a crazy moment for me because, not to sound self-centered, but like I've never really been, what's the word I'm looking for? Like between my brothers, I've always been overlooked. Like my older brothers have always been like in the spotlight and I've always been like kind of tossed to the side. So it was crazy to have this experience where I was the big deal, like I was the center of attention basically. Like that congratulations banner was for me, like they were proud of me and everyone there wanted to know about my experience, and it was just crazy to me because I wasn't used to my family really caring about me as much as they cared about my brothers. And I know that sounds so like egotistical, but like really it's true. Like I really have always taken a back seat to them, so it was crazy to actually be like, to have something special happen to me that they want to know about. So anyways, I could go on and on about various little details that were amazing about carrying the torch, but that's basically the brunt of it. That's the whole story about how I went from entering the contest and not being able to carry it to suddenly being able to carry it. Like it's a crazy story, as you guys know, and there's so many details. So I'm sure this video is probably like 40 minutes long, but it's a long story, I can't condense it. So if you guys made it this far, congratulations. You know the whole story, you made it, good job. And yeah, it's just crazy that I get this to keep for my life now. Like I still can't really believe this is even in my room. Like I'll give you guys a little close up, but that's all the burnt soot. It was a lot more like black after I carried it. With transportation stuff, a little bit of it rubbed off, but this stuff is permanent. It's got like the little maple leaf here. So yeah, it's supposed to look like a mountain, by the way. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to represent like the topography of Canada. Like this is supposed to be like the west coast, the hills, and this is supposed to be like Ontario, then a little bit of hills on the east coast, if I remember correctly. So yeah, that's the Olympic torch, and that's how I carried it. So sorry to keep you guys waiting to tell you that story, but again, I wanted to wait until it had been officially 10 years, and it's officially been 10 years. I carried it when I was 15, almost 16, and now I'm 25, almost 26, which, where does time go? But if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and leave a comment below letting me know if you guys like the Olympics, what's your favorite sport if you do. As always, you guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. All links to that are down below and at the end of this video. And be sure to subscribe because I upload new videos whenever I want. So if you guys don't want to miss the next upload, whenever that's gonna be, you know what to do. Hit that red button. Anyways, that's it. See you guys next time for another brand new video. Bye!